They laughed, didn't they? Thought it was amusing to poke, prod, and rip away the skin that held the darkness inside you. They grinned as they chipped away at your restraint, carving wounds into your patience, dancing around the edge of the abyss they believed was nothing more than a myth. They thought the storm in your eyes was just an illusion, a harmless shadow flickering in the wind. But oh, how blind they were, how foolish. Because some shadows don't just fade into the night. Some shadows grow claws, teeth, and a hunger that no light can diminish. They stirred something they should have left buried. A beast that doesn't roar, it grins. A phantom that doesn't chase, it waits. They thought they were playing a game, stacking the odds, dealing the cards, whispering in the dark, pulling invisible strings. But in their arrogance, they forgot one simple rule. The thing about monsters, once awakened, they don't go back to sleep. No, no, no. They hunt. And the hunt? Ah, that's the part they never saw coming. You felt it, didn't you? That pulse in your veins, that slow creeping sensation licking up your spine as the embers in your soul turned to fire. The chains they wrapped around you, they weren't meant to hold something like you. They were meant for sheep, not a wolf sharpening its fangs in the dark. And now that the mask has cracked, now that the illusion of your submission has shattered, they stand frozen, watching, realizing, far too late, that they never had control to begin with. They simply delayed the inevitable. You see, they were under the impression that power is something you can take, something you can own. But real power isn't stolen. It isn't borrowed. It isn't handed over in boardrooms or sealed behind signatures and contracts. No, real power is something primal, something woven into the very bones of those who were never meant to kneel. It's something they feared all along but never understood. And now they have front row seats to the performance of a lifetime. Their downfall, scripted and directed by the one they mistook for a mere shadow. They can't run. Oh, they'll try. They'll scramble. They'll beg. They'll barter with the very gods they mocked. But the joke's on them. Because you're not just the storm. You're the reckoning. You're the hand that grips their throats in the night. The whisper that crawls into their minds. The weight pressing down on their chests, suffocating them with the realization that the past cannot be undone. The darkness they woke up, it's awake now, and it's staring right at them, smiling. They wanted to see what lay beneath your skin, what lurked behind those quiet eyes, what hid beneath the surface of your restraint. Well, they got their wish, didn't they? The stage is set, the lights are dim, and the curtains have finally pulled back. They called forth something they don't understand, something they cannot contain. And now, as their knees tremble, as their hearts pound, as the cold fingers of fear tighten around their throats, one thing becomes painfully, beautifully clear. There is no escaping this, no running, no hiding, no pleading for mercy that will never come. They have spent so long underestimating the very force they now cower before. They mistook silence for weakness, patience for submission, and restraint for absence of rage. But oh, if only they had known what was brewing beneath the surface. If only they had realized that beneath the still waters, the Leviathan was waiting, not sleeping, waiting. And now it rises. They thought they had all the time in the world, that their games would never backfire, that the things they did in the dark would never come crawling back into the light. But here's the thing about shadows. They stretch, they move, they consume. And when the right moment arrives, they strike. They thought they could bury their sins, cover them in dust, pretend they never happened. But what they failed to understand is that some sins don't stay buried. Some sins claw their way to the surface, screaming, gnashing, dragging their creators down into the pit they built for someone else. And the pit? Oh, the pit is deep. Deeper than their arrogance, deeper than their deception, deeper than the false security they wrapped themselves in like a tattered old blanket. And now they fall. Down, 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 grasping at nothing, screaming into silence, watching as the walls close in around them. No one to call, no hands to reach for, no salvation waiting at the bottom. Just darkness. Endless, suffocating darkness. The same darkness they awoke in you. You were patient. You watched. You learned. You let them think they were winning. Let them bask in their delusions of control. But the truth? Oh, the truth is a blade sharper than any lie they ever told. The truth is that they were never in control. They were never safe. They were simply standing on borrowed ground, in borrowed time, in a reality that was always destined to collapse. And now, as their world crumbles, as they gasp for breath, as they choke on the ashes of their own making, they finally understand the one thing they never wanted to believe. The dark side they stirred, it doesn't let go. It doesn't forgive. It doesn't forget. It grips, it tightens, it consumes, and it never, ever lets them escape. They claw at the walls of their own mind, gasping for a way out, scrambling for a mercy that does not exist. The realization slithers up their spines, cold and suffocating. The trap they set was never yours to fall into. The chains they prepared were never meant to bind you. No. They were the architects of their own prison, forging their own shackles with every betrayal, every deceit, every smug smirk they thought would go unanswered. And now, they stand at the mercy of something that has none. The dark side they awakened is not just watching, it is circling, stalking, feeding on the fear that radiates from their every trembling breath. They flinch at shadows, hearts hammering like desperate war drums against their ribs. Every whisper in the wind sounds like their name being dragged through the void. Every flicker of movement in the dark feels like an omen, a reminder that there is no undoing what they have done. They stirred something ancient, something ruthless, something that does not believe in fair play. And now, that something has them in its grip. They were so used to playing the game, pulling strings, manipulating the board, moving pieces like gods who believed themselves untouchable. But the game is over, and the pieces they once commanded are nothing more than shattered fragments beneath your boots. There is no more deception to hide behind, no false smiles to wear like armor, just the raw, unfiltered horror of facing what they tried to destroy, alive, relentless, and grinning at their suffering. You don't rush. No. This is not a battle of speed. This is a slow, agonizing unraveling, a masterpiece of psychological ruin. They must feel it all. Every ounce of terror they once forced upon others, every sleepless night, every suffocating moment of helplessness, they thought they would never taste themselves, and taste it they will. Every moment that passes is a turn of the blade, sinking deeper into their sanity, twisting, carving messages into their very existence. They thought they had you figured out, thought they could predict your next move. But the thing about a force like you, it doesn't follow rules. It doesn't fit within the confines of their limited imagination. They mistook restraint for weakness, silence for submission. What a mistake. What a deliciously fatal mistake. Because now they are trapped in a nightmare of their own making, and you are the nightmare's architect. Oh, how they wish they could take it back. The taunts, the smirks, the endless little cruelties they thought were just another day of amusement. They were blind, so painfully blind, to the inevitable, to the price of stirring something that was never meant to be disturbed. But regret does not rewrite history. It does not erase sins. It does not turn back the ticking clock that now drums its final, ominous beats in their ears. Look at them, reduced to hollow echoes of the arrogant beings they once were, once so loud, so sure, so convinced that the world belonged to them. And now they are whispers, shaking hands, shattered egos dripping from their lips like poison they can no longer swallow. They reach for salvation, but salvation is a cruel joke with a twisted sense of humor. And you are the punchline. They beg, of course. It is always the same in the end. The mighty, the cunning, the self-proclaimed untouchables, all of them, reduced to trembling creatures spilling out pleas like shattered glass from a broken frame. But mercy? Mercy is a language they never spoke when they held the knife. So why should they expect to understand it now? No, they don't get to rewrite the rules just because they no longer hold the pen. The ink is yours now, and you are writing them into oblivion. There is no salvation, no way out, no escape hatch hidden in the wreckage of their downfall. They are caught in the jaws of something that does not loosen its bite, something that does not forgive, does not forget, does not falter. The abyss they tried to push you into, it is now swallowing them whole, inch by inch, dragging them down into a darkness they will never claw their way out of. And as they fall deeper, as the weight of their own sins wraps around their throats like a noose tightening with every passing second, one truth glares at them with merciless clarity. The grip will never loosen. The reckoning is not over, and the worst is yet to come. Their past is catching up to them, a ghost with claws sharp enough to carve through their pretenses. They try to hide, try to mask the fear behind empty bravado, but their eyes betray them. Wild, desperate, darting from side to side like prey that knows it has nowhere left to run. The walls are closing in, the air thick with the stench of dread. Every breath they take is laced with the sour taste of impending doom. You can see it now, how realization dawns upon them like a storm rolling in, dark and merciless. The understanding that their sins have piled too high, that the weight of their cruelty is finally crushing them beneath its unbearable mass. They are not just trapped in the moment, they are trapped in a cycle they themselves created. And now, you are the hand that tightens the noose, the voice that whispers their own sins back into their ears, the shadow that ensures they never wake from this nightmare. Panic sets in, a frenzied animalistic urge to claw their way out of this, to escape the destiny they once scoffed at. They plead with the heavens, bargain with devils they once laughed at. But there is no divine intervention coming to their aid. There are no deals left to make. They are bargaining with the inevitable, and the inevitable does not negotiate. The darkness they feared, it's here. It's swallowing them whole. And they are nothing but echoes of their former selves, lost in the depths of their own destruction, with no one left to hear their final, broken screams. They are choking on silence now. the kind that presses against the skull like a phantom's grip, the kind that rings louder than their screams ever could. Their pulse stutters, erratic, a trapped animal knowing the hunter has already sunk his claws deep into its flesh. No prayers will be answered here. No whispered apologies will mend what has been torn beyond repair. They wanted the darkness to bend, to break, to kneel before their arrogance, but instead, it stands tall, unshaken, grinning at their downfall. They can feel it, the invisible chains wrapping tighter, the weight of their deeds dragging them further into the abyss. No savior is coming. No light will pierce through the void they have been swallowed by. They are alone, abandoned by the lies that once protected them, left to drown in the very poison they poured into your veins. How poetic, how fitting. They thought themselves untouchable, but the truth has sharp edges, and now it is slicing through their flesh, carving a new reality into their bones, one where they are not the gods they once believed themselves to be. They are merely prey, waiting for the jaws to close. Do they understand now? Do they finally see it? The irony drips thick, suffocating as their own fears devour them from the inside out. The tables have not just turned, they have collapsed beneath them, leaving them grasping at nothing. Their empire of deceit, built on stolen trust and twisted words, crumbles into dust beneath the weight of their terror. And you watch, amused, detached, unbothered by their suffering because, oh, how they reveled in yours. They thought pain was a currency they could spend freely, that torment was theirs to distribute as they pleased. But now, as the scales tip, as the balance corrects itself with a slow and merciless precision, they realize pain is not a one-way transaction. It circles back. It remembers. And now it has come to collect its due. They beg, their voices raw, broken, scraping against the walls like dying echoes in an empty chamber. But the thing about mercy? It's not given to those who have never known how to offer it. They did not hesitate when it was you in their grasp, did not flinch when they tore through your trust, your dignity, your very sense of self. So why should you now? Why should the hand that was once forced to tremble be the one to extend forgiveness? No. Mercy died the day they decided you were disposable, and now so shall they. Watch as the panic sets in, as they grasp at remnants of control that no longer exist. They were the orchestrators of chaos, the architects of destruction. But now they are merely ghosts walking through the ruins they themselves created. They try to piece it together, try to unravel the noose tightening around their existence. But there is no escape. Every path they once paved with manipulation now leads them deeper into the darkness, a labyrinth with no exit, only endless corridors of regret and realization. How quickly they fall apart, how easily they fracture beneath the same weight they once forced upon you. Their voices crack, their bodies shake, their thoughts spiral into oblivion. And you stand unmoved, a silent witness to their descent, knowing that no matter how much they struggle, no matter how desperately they claw at the walls of their own demise, they will never make it out. This is not vengeance. This is not retribution. This is inevitability in its purest, most merciless form. The air grows heavier, thick with unspoken horrors they now understand far too late. Every second that passes is a dagger pressed deeper against their throats, every breath a laborious reminder that they are living on borrowed time. The hunter does not need to strike. The realization alone is enough to shatter them. The knowledge that their downfall is not a question of if, but when, gnaws at them more cruelly than any blade ever could. They spiral, spiraling deeper, sinking lower, dissolving into the void they so foolishly beckoned forth. They can't think, can't breathe, can't move without the crushing weight of what they have done snapping at their heels, like a relentless predator. And you watch, unblinking, because this is not about satisfaction. It is not about closure. It is about balance, about the universal truth that what is given must one day be returned in full. And their debt is past due. No more masks to hide behind. No more lies to shield them. No more illusions to distort reality in their favor. They are naked before the storm they unleashed, exposed to the merciless force of consequence. And the best part? They did this to themselves. They were the ones who set the fire, convinced they were immune to the flames. But now they stand in the center of the inferno, and there is no one left to pull them from the ashes. They thought themselves gods, thought they could twist fate, manipulate destiny, forge their own version of the truth. But fate is not so easily fooled. Destiny is not a puppet to be controlled. And the truth? The truth does not bow to those who build their thrones upon the suffering of others. It rises, it roars, it tears through delusions like a storm swallowing the sky, leaving nothing but wreckage in its wake. And so here they are, drowning in the very darkness they sought to command. No salvation, no second chances, no rewrites to their story. Only this, the cold, unrelenting grip of the reckoning they so desperately tried to outrun. And you do not need to lift a finger. The darkness they awakened will finish what they started. And when the final echoes of their screams fade into nothingness, the world will move on, untouched by their absence, unshaken by their fall. Because in the end, they were never as powerful as they believed, never as untouchable as they pretended. They were merely mortals playing with fire, and now they are nothing but embers swallowed by the night. The cycle is complete. The grip tightens one last time, and then silence. The darkness swallows them whole.